Yes, welcome to another edition of Talking SANFL. My name is Andrew Hayes. Daniel Menzel is here. Menz, g'day to you.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Hazy. It's 3 weeks into the SANFL competition. We obviously had a break for gather round, but there's some interesting results in the competition at the moment and some teams that you probably don't know exactly where they stand at the moment, and we need to see a few more games before we can probably work that out.
You probably feel like it takes maybe 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks to get a genuine feel of where the competition's at. Some big upsets in round 3, and let's start with probably the biggest one out of the Ponderosa. It was the Dogs hosting the Crows. It's never fun to play in Elizabeth, but you still thought on paper the Crows would get the job done, but it was a thriller.
Yeah, it certainly was, and the Crows had a good list, so it's a big win for Centrals. We have touched on they're going to be difficult to play out there at Elizabeth, and look, it's a game that probably got away from the Crows. They kicked 11-15, they had the 6 more scoring shots, but a really big win for the Doggies.
That's huge for Paul Thomas, he'd absolutely take that. Bloods taking on the Panthers. First win for Adam Carlett as new coach of West Adelaide. This was probably the other upset.
This was a massive result for West Adelaide. They've been good so far this season without getting the result they've been after. They were in the game against North Adelaide in round 1, and then obviously the Crows. So they've had a really tough start to the season, but to come out to beat the Panthers pretty convincingly at home in the end, it shows some real development and progress for the Bloods.
Sturt taking on Port Adelaide. I suppose the big headline was Mitch Georgiadis and him doing his knee, so he's out for the season, unfortunately. But the other headline is Sturt are the only undefeated side.
Yeah, they're rolling at the moment. The thing that's probably been the most impressive for mine is their offense. Last year they struggled to kick a score. They averaged less than 70 points a game. They're up there at nearly 100 points a game at the moment, and they're as good as any team in the comp to watch. And on the flip side, Port Adelaide, well, their depth is going to be tested now with Georgiades and other injuries in the AFL team.
Glenelg taking on your mob Woodville West Torrens. This was one that I tipped you guys. You had such a swag of good, solid players coming back, including yourself. I don't think too many people thought that you'd go down by 48 points.
Yeah, look, a bit scratchy, us Eagles boys on the weekend. A lot of guys come back and will be better for the run, but probably not the best performances. And look, Glenelg are hard to beat at home. I think that's something that you probably forget a little bit, and we haven't beat them there for a couple of years now. So they were good. They had 60 inside 50s. Anytime you let them win the clearance battle and get the footy inside 50, they're going to be hard to beat.
Lockie Hosey looks very good.
He's started the season very well, Lockie, and so he's leading the Ken Farmer at the moment with 12.
Is he gettable?
He's still gettable.
There you go. Final game of the round as well. This was probably not a surprising result, but it's interesting to see exactly where the Redlegs are at right now. The Roosters got the job done against Norwood. Who would have thought that the reigning premiers would find themselves in this situation after 3 rounds? Yeah,
it's dire straits for them at the moment. They were convincingly beaten for the 3rd straight week at home for the 3rd straight week. They have won 3 quarters so far out of the 12 quarters they've played this season. They are going as horribly as anyone, and it's going to be a tough job for Twig to turn that around.
So this time 2 weeks ago we said, is there alarm bells? There definitely is now.
There definitely is alarm bells now. Like, they started slowly last year, and so that's what they'll be using as motivation, but it's been a really challenging start to their season, and they just don't look the same team. Can they turn around? Yes, they can, but there's a lot they need to fix.
All right, time now for the SANFL summary. Menz, let's start with the talking point of the week, and it is a win for a first-time coach.
It is a massive win for West Adelaide. They have won the last 4 wooden spoons, so you just didn't want to see them go into the season, be 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, and wondering, when's that first win going to come? Is it going to be the same this year? Are they going to win their 5th consecutive wooden spoon? So it's great to see that they've been in every contest and they were good enough on the weekend, and they outplayed South as a result. And super win. They go to Loxton this week and they take on Port Adelaide. So they have every chance to start favourite in that game and go with 2 straight wins.
Well, as we know, Port Adelaide are going to lose some key players for the AFL side. So, yeah, absolutely, this is very, very gettable. Nick Lang, this was a huge, huge moment out at the Ponderosa.
Yeah, we're going to show this highlight here, and it's a high free kick. Was it a free kick?
I think it was a free kick, but you just sort of feel like, and no one will admit it, particularly in the umpiring fraternity, but they tend to put their whistle away in really controversial moments.
It is. It's one of those ones, as we show it, it looks like it is a free kick, but it's one of those ones you hate as an observer. You go, he ducked, it shouldn't be a free kick, but it is there by the letter of the law, and as a result, it wins them the game. But in saying that, credit to Nick Lang. Every time he plays, and he should never be playing reserves footy at that footy club again, every time he plays, he kicks goals. And that is important in teams. Sometimes the knock on him has been that he hasn't laid enough pressure. But you know what? When he's in that team, they function much better and they win more games with him in there than they do without him.
It's a pressure moment too. Have you kicked after the siren or just before the siren to put the team in front?
I can't recall one after the siren. Definitely close to the siren, but no, not after the siren. It's and you would, and everyone out there knew it was late in the quarter.
Yep,
This
really
was
late.
going to be the decisive factor,
Yep.
and well finished.
Fun to watch. The Dogs are absolutely up and about. Now, the stat of the week, you want to talk about a newly crowned Anzac Day medalist.
Yeah, Noah Castellini. How about this? 18 disposals, 6 goals, and 10 marks. He's only played 3 games of SANFL footy. He's come across from GWS in Sydney, and they just seem to find one of these every single year, North Adelaide. Bauer last season, they have a lot of guys that pop up and kick goals, but he has certainly stamped his authority on this competition, and that is a hell of a game to win the Anzac Day medal.
On top of that as well, the Roosters absolutely have found their feet.
They have. And look, they've come up against a team that is battling, and they put them away as they should, and they're going to be a good challenge this week for the Eagles.
All right, time now for some tips and predictions for round 4. Let's start in Unley. Sturt taking on the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are on fire, but this is, very much 2 different worlds. Playing in Unley versus playing at the Ponderosa.
It really is.
But Sturt, for as long as I can remember, play their home ground so unbelievably well. And as you know as well, their midfield is on fire.
Their midfield is going as well as any in the comp, and particularly at home, they're such contested beasts, and so I think they'll be too good. Your prediction for this game?
So I'm going to say the Double Blues. In the hope, though, if the Bulldogs pulled off an upset, I'd love that, but Sturt at home for me. Next game, South v the Crows.
Yeah, so this will be an interesting one. This is at Adelaide Oval. So as South Adelaide players, you'd certainly pencil this one in. You get the opportunity to play at Adelaide Oval before an AFL game. So there's no greater game on the calendar, really, that you get yourself up for. In saying that, I think the Crows players play well on a bigger ground, a bigger deck. I think they'll really love that. I think we'll see a high-scoring game. I'm picking the Crows, and I think there'll be over 200 points scored in the game.
There you go. That'll be a nice little goal factory to watch. Next game, Roosters taking on the Eagles. That's a prospect as well. So we mentioned before that the Roosters look like they are very much up and about. And I hate to say it as well, but you guys are battling just a bit.
We are battling a bit, so I'll obviously pick the Eagles. It sounds like you're going to pick North Adelaide.
I am going to pick North Adelaide because I kind of have to. I don't want to.
They are tough to beat.
I don't want to.
I mean, a lot of teams play their home ground well, but Prospect is a difficult place to go. Your prediction for this game, what do you see a certain player, individual, or something happening in this game?
See, I can see the midfielders just doing what they do, and that is absolutely toweling up. Their forward line still looks really potent now, and saying that, you guys had a lot of guys coming back. So you talk about yourself, Tompus, who else is freshly back?
Rory Lehman played his first game for the year. Brinker Ritchie, our ruck, and Collier Dawkins also first games for the club as well. So there's a few guys that have come in. Riley Knight had his first game for the season as well. So we'll be better for the run.
Exactly right. So I'm still going to pick the Roosters, but as you said, there's going to be a huge difference between those guys in their second game of the year versus their first.
Yep. So if we move to the next game, it's at Loxton Oval. It's great to see the footy going out to the regional areas, and West Adelaide take on Port Adelaide here. I think West Adelaide will continue rolling. I think they'll win their second game in a row, and I reckon John O'Beach will pop up and kick 4 goals.
Which is good to see as well, because John O'Beach, I feel like Beachy's been around.
He does seem like he's been around for a long time.
And he has played a hell of a lot of footy, but it is really nice to see one of the absolute good guys of the SANFL still continue to do really well. So Glenelg taking on the Redlegs for the last game of the round, and that's at the Bays home as well. Geez, 0-4 can you see for the Redlegs, because that's how I see this one panning out.
I do too. Glenelg were super impressive against us on the weekend. They play at home again, and Norwood, you're 0-3, and then you've got a 5-day break into this one as well. I mean, if they got some sore boys today, they are going to battle to get up and play well on the weekend. I think Glenelg will be too strong. Your bold prediction on this game, what do you see happening?
I'm going to say, I always back in Lockie Hosey. I think he's going to kick 6.
Yeah, okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I was going to say I hope he doesn't do that.
But then you might kick 12.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But Locke's in form at the moment. Norwood does traditionally have a good backline, even though they've been scored against this year. So it'll be interesting to see who gets that job.
All right, Glenelg for me, though. Could be nice and tight, though. right, time now for my multi. Thanks to our good mates at Top Sport. Top odds, best markets on the SANFL. Keep on betting against the dogs.
Yes.
And it's not working for me at all.
It's cost you so far, so
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see which direction you head in this week.
Well, so I'm going to bet against the dogs again this week. I am. But I feel like it's a win-win for me because if Sturt wins, then win the first part of my multi. But if the dogs wins, then I want the dogs to win. We've got a soft spot for Central District. So I'm going to take Sturt to beat Centrals. Second part of this multi, I'm going to have the Crows to beat South Adelaide. In saying that, South Adelaide are going to be very, very hungry for a better result this week, and it's neutral territory at Adelaide Oval.
Yep.
Still, I've got the Crows firing up after their loss against the Dogs. And finally, I've got the Bays, who just look so good at the minute. I've got the Bays to beat the Redlegs. But I feel like that one could be close, even though it's at Glenelg.
Yeah, so we have the Double Blues, we have the Crows, and we have the Bays there to get our first win for the season. Let's see if we can do it this week for Hazy's multi.
Might be time to make some money, I reckon.
Let's hope.